It is an absolute pleasure and honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Commissioner Mairead McGuinness. Thank you very much indeed for making the time and being with us. I know it's extremely busy in your schedule at the moment, and having been a loyal supporter of this event since you've become Commissioner. Thank you. Over to you.
Well, thank you indeed for the invitation, and it's always good to join. Although I have to say, I haven't had an online event for some time, and I'm almost nervous of the technology. So at least we're connected, and I'm happy that that is the case. The world of finance, and you've been discussing it there already in the excellent panel, has changed a lot. Even in my term as Commissioner the last 3.5 years, technology has driven a lot of that change. And of course, digital finance is increasingly now just finance, because finance is digital. So what I will do today is talk about how finance has changed, how it has become more digital, what our response as a commission is to that evolution, and indeed what we might do next. And if I look back in the last few years, when it comes to digital finance, we can talk about the time BC, before COVID, and then the time since then. And digitalization was already happening before we had the pandemic, but it was hugely accelerated by COVID. A reminder of what the world of finance looked like before COVID or BC. You know, people used to go to their branch to lodge a check, for example, or you went to meet an advisor if you wanted to get a mortgage or negotiate a loan. And a lot of our everyday purchases were made with cash. And then during COVID, much of the world moved online, and so did finance. So it was an evolution that was happening, but indeed has accelerated. It became possible to apply for loans and mortgages online. Shopping online really accelerated, and we know that from our own households. And payments moved to being online or digital too. With ever more digital options now because of the need for solutions which were posed during COVID. We're all much more familiar with chatbots or virtual assistants. I won't give you the name of my one because it will identify the bank. Sometimes they do answer my question, but maybe not always. But then behind the scenes, inside the finance industry, it's no different because there's a lot happening behind the scenes. Processes like data entry are becoming automated. Artificial intelligence can help financial institutions analyze vast amounts of information, allowing them to manage risks and even trade on capital markets. So all good, very exciting, but there is always a but. And the digital era has ushered in new risks that we have to be very tuned into. I think all of us are concerned about privacy and the protection of our data. And no wonder that that's the case when you see the number and indeed the impact of cyber attacks. And of course, the financial sector is a big target of attacks. Criminals are very attracted by our money and our data. Last year saw ransomware attacks on major financial institutions like the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. In February, an attack on a technology group had disruptive effects on the derivatives trading industry. So at one point, customers had to record transactions in paper ledgers. Now, please don't ask what a paper ledger is. Some of you will never have dealt with it, but there are some of us who've lived through the paper era. Unfortunately, fraud is becoming more and more sophisticated, and this is posing huge problems for companies and customers alike. The Financial Times reported recently about the rise of fraudsters using artificial intelligence, and there was a frankly terrifying story of a man led to believe his daughter had been kidnapped and that he had to pay a ransom to free her. But of course, he discovered by chance that his daughter was fine and that her voice, which he heard on the phone, was in fact generated by AI. So overall then, the post-COVID story of digital finance is one of enormous opportunities. But these opportunities can only be embraced if we guard against the risks. And that's the Commission's main mission as the financial sector further moves into the digital era. I think we've covered, as you have already been discussing, a lot of ground during the past few years of this Commission. In payments, we've embraced digital payments, both private and public, widening the choice available to consumers. With the Digital Euro proposal, we want to give people a complement to physical cash. And here we started the debate because the potential impact of a digital euro needs to be carefully and properly considered. And the Commission's proposal for a digital euro is being thoroughly examined in Parliament and Council. For private providers, the instant payments regulation was agreed in November. So anyone offering regular euro credit transfers will now also have to offer instant credit transfers and at no extra cost for consumers. Ongoing is the revision of the Payment Services Directive, alongside a new regulation on payment services. And a key focus here is tackling new types of fraud. We've kept what works well, so strong customer authentication, by requiring a second layer of authentication, a code to your mobile phone. Now, this has really cut down on fraud in authorized payments. But we're seeing new types of fraud emerge, like spoofing, where fraudsters impersonate a bank employee. So we've added new measures to combat these new types of fraud, like enabling providers to share data on fraud, helping them act and react more quickly based on more comprehensive information. And a new right of refund for victims of spoofing and other types of fraud. Moving now from payments to data, where we're keen to embrace the possibilities of data sharing while keeping customers in control of their own information. We are part of the EU's horizontal data strategy, which ensures that we encourage fair data sharing in all directions. So first, we're updating the provisions of the existing legislation on open banking so that open banking interfaces work better, and that will allow open banking reach its full potential. And then we're building on open banking with our proposal for financial data access, published in June last year. That proposal will regulate access to customers' data in finance beyond payments. It builds on the lessons learned from open banking, and it expands the use of data beyond payments to other financial data. The idea is that customers will get access to a wide set of more personalized financial services, like personalized insurance offers or financial advice. And the basis of the proposal is customer control. So customers stay in control of their own data. Now, exercising that control will be easy thanks to permission dashboards. So an interface giving customers a simple overview of their own data and who it's being shared with. And they'll be able to revoke access if they change their mind. So the reaction to these proposals and generally to these proposals has generally been positive from both Parliament and Council, and the discussions are moving forward. Blockchain technologies is another area we've addressed, and here the EU is an early mover. We're the first place in the world to have designed comprehensive rules for crypto assets, protecting consumers, financial stability, and market integrity. MiCA, the regulation of markets in crypto assets, will soon start to apply. We're currently working with the EU supervisory authorities to prepare regulatory and implementing standards for MiCA. Consultations on regulatory standards are ongoing, and here I would invite you all to participate. The first set of delegated acts setting out some of the detailed provisions is expected to be adopted in the next few weeks. Now, when it comes to embracing the possibilities offered by innovation, we had the DLT pilot launched in March of last year. Companies can now safely experiment with issuing, trading, and settling shares or bonds using DLT. We're already seeing a number of projects working towards authorization under the pilot regime, and we are excited to see the first of these coming soon. So this is a completely new kind of project for us. The EU decided to innovate in our legislation, and the lessons we learn could lead to legislative changes. So there is one important point that I want to clarify for this conference, because there seems to be a misconception that the pilot regime will expire. The DLT pilot will remain in place unless and until there is a new legislative proposal to change it. So I hope that clarifies that really important point. Moving then to operational resilience and cybersecurity. We know that the financial sector, financial institutions are all vulnerable and subject to cyber attacks. So cybersecurity is a top priority. It's really, really important that we not only address it today, but continue to address it every day. The Digital Operational Resilience Act, DORA, entered into force last year. So financial companies have to strengthen their ICT risk management and their resilience. We're also going to have better reporting of incidents and oversight of critical third-party providers. The first set of complementary delegated acts and regulatory technical standards is being finalised, and this package will be adopted again in the coming weeks. And it means we're on track for DORA to go live at the end of this year as planned. Now, all financial institutions in Europe need to get ready too. So that's a huge amount of work over the past few years. And I think the question we're all looking at, as I'm sure you are, is what do we do and where do we go next from here? I believe that a lot of our work in the next few years is going to be around embedding these new initiatives, putting our rules into practice and addressing gaps where we find them. So if we take the area of artificial intelligence, the AI Act will apply to all sectors, including financial markets. And there are two cases related to the financial sector that are labelled high risk in the AI Act. These are evaluating credit scores and life and health insurance. And these areas will be subject to the highest regulatory standards. Going beyond this cross-cutting law, there are already issues specific to finance around the use of AI, and more are likely to arise as people explore the possibilities that AI offers. So the AI Act may need to be complemented by guidance specific to finance, and the Commission will work on this with the European supervisory authorities. We're also seeing how we might support the use of AI in finance. Our supervisors hold a lot of data. So if we could be successful in anonymizing and synthesizing this data, it would be useful for European innovators. So we're working with the supervisors and we're seeing if we could help the financial sector get quality data sets for use by AI, while really, and this is key, ensuring consumers' right to data protection is fully respected. So if I return now to the issue of blockchain technology, the review of MiCA will be due in a couple of years. And there are certain issues not covered by MiCA that we might need to clarify, like decentralized finance and crypto lending. Building on the DLT pilot, we're closely following developments in asset tokenization of securities, of course, but also of other types of assets, like deposits or funds. Asset tokenization could make trading and the post-trade environment more efficient. It could also open up less liquid assets to a greater investment base. And above all, we want to make sure that we maintain trust in digital finance. And here the financial sector has a responsibility too, because trust matters across the board for every aspect of the financial system. If consumers feel that they've been let down, then this is a breach of trust, and trust is gone. And in times of crisis, we know that people turn to cash or even gold and away from digital technologies. So I think what we really need to be aware of here is that the work progress, the efforts, and what we've done around digital technologies could be undermined if we don't offer that sense of trust in digital finance. As regulators, we need to provide protection against the risks that could undermine trust in digital finance. But again, the financial sector also needs to keep its own responsibilities in mind. And we know from the past that trust can be lost in seconds, but it can take much, much longer and a huge amount of effort to build it back again. So in closing, the European Union is embracing the digital revolution in financial services. We see this in the creativity of entrepreneurs, startups, and in existing financial institutions in the digital space. And you are matched on the regulatory side for payments and digital currencies to data and blockchain. So technology has a huge amount to offer if we guard against the risks. And maybe a last word, there could be and may be a need for paper records in some very limited cases, just as we need a candle and a means to light it when the lights go out, as indeed happened in my household after a storm not that long ago. So I leave you with those reflections and thoughts, and I wish you well for the rest of your conference. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you so much for a fascinating speech. I always enjoy listening to you because you're so succinct and clear and always focus very much on the end customer, the citizen. Just 2 or 3 comments. Technology worked very well, and yes, we are kind of a FinTech conference, so we might be cheating a little bit by still relying on doing a virtual event for now. It worked very well indeed. And when you refer to paper, I started my career every first day of the month going down into a safe and cutting coupons of bonds to cash them in. So we've come a long way in the last, don't ask me how many years, but ain't too many. And finally, thank you for touching on all of the issues that we're discussing in the conference today in such a succinct way. Last thought, I take away what you say on the pilot projects and that they will remain in place. I think that's a very important signal because we've heard this out of the market as well. So thank you for clarifying that. Thank you for being with us. And thanks for your continued support. Thank you very much indeed, Commissioner.
Thank you and have a good day.